I don't. I was born in the displaced persons camp, but we came to the United States when I was 1.5 years old. So the only recollections that I have are photographs. Well, like a lot of children of Holocaust survivors, it was something that was not talked about when I was growing up, and it was really only when I became an adult that I asked them about their experiences. And the interesting thing about that is that they didn't speak to me about it because A, they didn't want to burden me with it, but they also thought that I was not interested in learning about it. And I didn't ask about it because I thought it would be too hurtful to them. So both of us stayed away from the topic until I was well into my 20s. I think the thing that strikes me the most in talking with my parents about their experience is how much they wanted to live and how a stroke of fate really saved both of them. They were both incarcerated in work camps for 4 years. Both of them nearly died, and it was only through the good grace of other people that each of them survived. I think both of my parents went through a time, and I certainly did too, as I became more involved in learning about the Holocaust and how it affected them. I could not help but wonder where God was when all of this was going on. But they never lost their faith. I think my mother was angry at God. She lost her entire family. My father's sister survived with him and came to the United States. I think it's a hard thing to reconcile when people are killed for no reason other than who they are. So it's been difficult staying close to a religion. Yeah. I did go back with my father to where he was born, and that was quite a miraculous trip. So he spoke Polish the entire time we were there. We went to see the school where he was allowed to go to school before he couldn't go to school any longer. My grandparents owned a business there, and the store was still intact, as was the apartment building where my dad grew up before they were moved to the ghetto. So that was, and we actually went to Germany as well, and I got to see where I was born. So that was quite an incredible trip. Yeah. My mother would not go back, so I think it all depends on how your life has been. As she said, she would never return to Poland, but my dad and I did go. Why did I become? Well, you know, I think on some level I felt that I needed to have a profession that could help people. And interestingly enough, my father was always very active in community organizations. A lot of them were organizations that would hold food drives or that would raise money or collect clothing. So the tzedakah and leaving the world a better place than it is when we come into it was always part of my upbringing, so it seemed like kind of a natural profession for me to fall into. Most of it has been in the area of working with people with mental illness, and so I think you learn that, you know, people who don't fit in are very often ostracized, whether it's their religion or the color of their skin or the fact that they have a mental disorder. And hopefully it's made me a person who's been more willing to accept everyone who comes into your life, because everyone has a story and you never know what it is until you sit down and get a chance to talk with them about it. The truth is that Holocaust survivors will not be here for much longer. Most of my parents, if they were alive, would be 94 and 95. And so is incumbent on the second generation to be sure that the stories are told and that the memories are brought out so that people know what really happened. And having learned that firsthand from my own parents, from my aunt, my father's sister, and how different life would have been had we come to this country sooner, is important for everybody to know. I must say that I'm very impressed with the young people of today, and that's what gives me hope. The horrible shooting in Florida and how adolescents and teenagers came together and said, we don't want this to happen again. And you know, the feeling of never again should anyone be put in the situation that they become liquidated for simply who they are. So that gives me hope. You give me hope. Oh, wow, that's a great question. No, I don't. I think that title should belong only to those who were there to endure the atrocities. I take pride in being the child of survivors, but I don't consider myself a survivor.